Today, Puppet is announcing or introducing Relay, which, if I'm not wrong, is an event-driven automation platform. It automates processes across any cloud infrastructure, tools and APIs that developers or DevOps or SREs are managing manually. Today, we have with us Alex Bilmes, your VP of Growth at Puppet. Alex, I want to know from you how correct I was, and if I'm wrong, what exactly is Relay?
No, you got it right. So I'll kind of walk you through the way that it works. As you mentioned, Relay is an event-driven automation platform, and the way it works is we listen to signals from various external sources. And those are what we call events. So as an example, if there's a Splunk capacity alert being fired or a new EC2 instance comes online in, say, AWS as an example, or a Datadog monitoring alert, any external event really. And then from there, we're able to trigger a workflow. And so a workflow has a collection of different steps that customers can arrange in whatever order they want. A step could be provisioning an environment using Terraform as an example, or a step could be deprovisioning an S3 bucket that's available to the public and shouldn't be. And so steps are sort of modular, they're composable. Anybody can really put together, a workflow with any number of steps ordered in whatever way they want to order them in.
What was the need that you saw in the market, and what problem that you're trying to solve here? Because most of things are already automated, if I'm not wrong.
To a certain extent. So what we see is with cloud teams specifically, they have to respond to a much larger number of events than they previously had to. So the surface area for automation is increasingly getting larger and larger as you have new services, microservices architectures, as an example, require that you automate many more small things, and being able to stitch the sort of glue or business logic together is increasingly challenging. And so what we see a lot of customers doing is either repurposing a CI/CD tool, something like a Jenkins, for day two operations, and that's not what it's meant for. Or in a lot of cases, they'll write their own Lambda functions, which get tricky as you're trying to react to a larger number of events and then kind of create one-off functions and being able to integrate with the various services and make sure that the APIs work in the right way is really hard.
Can you give some examples of workflow that a typical DevOps or SRE will be using, leveraging Relay for?
Yeah, of course. So we have categories. So first off, I'll walk you through the categories a little bit. I think that might be interesting. So given right now we're in unprecedented times, many of our customers are using Relay for cost control workflows. So as an example, being able to reap unused EC2 instances, or delete unneeded disks and things like that. And so Relay can, as an example, orchestrate those workflows across all three major public cloud providers and do so without needing to log into each one of those consoles and manually terminate instances or disks. That's just one small example. There are a number of security-related workflows as well. So being able to change the permissions on a set of S3 buckets, as an example, again, in a multi-cloud context, that becomes really, really tricky. A number of cloud ops-oriented workflows. One of the things we see is our customers follow the well-architected frameworks from AWS, and Azure just released those as well. And so right now, the way that that's done is customers have to log into the console of each cloud provider and make thousands of changes manually, and that becomes really tedious and expensive and painful. And so our early adopters are really leveraging Relay for a lot of those day two operations use cases. Sometimes they're called cloud ops, but it's just operations in the cloud.
Is it a product, as a service, and is there any open source angle to it?
It is a SaaS service. The public beta will enable anybody to sign up for free and run workflows. And our goal is to get somebody up and running within 5 minutes. Open source is a huge part of Puppet and is core to everything we do. And so all of the integrations, and we're integrating with 30 plus integrations out of the box, including the public cloud providers, a number of different tools, CI/CD tools, monitoring tools. Those are all open source, and so our customers can extend and build out integrations on their own. all of the workflows that we're building are open source, and we hope that our community is able to customize them, extend them, do whatever they want, and then contribute back the workflows that they think are useful for others.
Can you just lay out what are the core components of Relay? And also, since Puppet does a lot of work in open source already, I'm also assuming you are leveraging a lot of open source there.
The core of Relay is a workflow engine. Our workflow engine is unique in that it is very tightly integrated into our eventing system. So a lot of workflow engines, as an example, can sort of do things if somebody manually runs them. But for us, it's really being able to build that bridge between the external events and being able to respond to those events with a workflow in real time. In terms of open source, we leverage Tecton by Google, which is a pipeline CI/CD engine. And we're making that more general purpose and making that usable for many more use cases. And so also we use Knative, and we use an ambassador for Ingress as well. And those are all open source projects that we can contribute upstream to.
The project is new. I'm pretty sure that you do have some idea of its roadmap. I know a lot of things you cannot share, but tell me a bit about what does the roadmap look like? It's an open source based project, so I'm not very sure it will have a specific release cadence. But if you can also talk about what would that look like?
Yeah, we release often, and I think that's core to our philosophy. I'll give you a hint. The work that we're very excited about in the coming months is really about extending the use cases for the community and making content much more accessible, making the ability to contribute much more robust with better developer tooling. And the other side of that is there's a lot of really interesting event data that we're able to collect. And so look forward to more interesting and exciting updates on things around alerting and recommendations and insights that we're able to bring because of the unique way that we're able to see the entire workflow from the event all the way through to automation.
Can you talk about who would be the typical users of Relay, and if you can share, you may not be able to share if there are already people using it.
Yeah, there are people using it, quite a few. We've been in private beta for some time, and the feedback has been fantastic, which is one of the reasons we're excited to extend the capabilities to a broader set of users. Right now, the users of Relay are very nicely clustered into what we call DevOps engineers. That could be SREs, that could be developers that are really back-end heavy and fulfill a DevOps role for a team. That could be an IT ops manager, as an example. It's really clustered in what we call DevOps engineer. Sometimes infrastructure developer as well comes up as a title.
Alex, thanks a lot for explaining Relay. And as you mentioned, there is going to be a very exciting roadmap. So I look forward to talk to you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.